Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. I'm your host Rob. This video, after a 2-week break, it's time to get back into the March of the King series, and this week we're going to be doing Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Okay guys, welcome back. So Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. When I saw this movie, which is recent, I couldn't remember if A, I had seen it a long time ago, or B, if I hadn't seen it at all, because there were some things that were familiar about it and some things I just didn't remember outright. So very interesting movie. There's some elements about it that I love, and there's some elements about it that were comical, of course. But overall, I gotta say, I love the monster. Rodan looks so different in this movie. I really like that design they did for him in this movie. The thing I wasn't too crazy about with him is they really made him small. I mean, he was small, but nonetheless, very nice design. Godzilla's suit, as usual, during this era has been fantastic. And the Mechagodzilla suit, while I will always be a fan of the one from the 70s, that is going to be my favorite for life. I'm not taking anything away from this one. This one obviously had more definition, but it just doesn't beat that suit from the 70s. It was, I love the missiles coming out of the fingers and the toes. I like the eye beams coming from the eyes rather than the mouth, like in this movie. But again, it still was a very good design, well-designed monsters. Even the baby Godzilla, while at times comical, it was a very cute design. Considering they're trying to portray it as a youth, I thought it was decent design. And the movie itself, I mean, obviously, Godzilla and Rodan obviously have this thing for this egg, and they convince you in the beginning, or they seem to try and convince you that it is I think it was called a pteranodon, pteranodon egg, and Rodan being a pteranodon, prehistoric dinosaur, I suppose, who grows because of the radiation and stuff like that. The fight with Godzilla and Rodan in that early part of the movie was great. It was such a great fight. And I got to say, considering Rodan being overmatched physically, he put up a good fight. Obviously Godzilla not only got the best of him at the end, but really laid it hard on him. I mean, he put the hurting on Rodan at the very end of the fight. And, he's obviously lured towards the little baby Godzilla that at that point in the movie had finally hatched, to reveal that it was a baby Godzilla and not a pteranodon, So, as he's making his way to the city, he has his first encounter with Mechagodzilla. Now, the cool thing about this Mechagodzilla is extremely powerful weaponry. I'm talking like even though Godzilla won that first bout, he really won by default because Mechagodzilla got, malfunctioned. But I'm talking like the shooting the wires and the blood coming out and the plasma grenades and not eye beams anymore. His beam breath, I guess I should call it. And obviously has a lot better defense to take on that atomic breath from Godzilla with the whole diamond-plated armor. And or at least that's what they call it, some sort of diamond alloy of some sort. Really was very durable machine. So they duke it out. Mechagodzilla malfunctions. Godzilla heads into the city to try and find the baby Godzilla, but gets to a point where he finds the building. He starts to destroy it, but gets to a point where he stops because he knows if he destroys it any further, he's gonna kill the kid. So he takes off, figuring, all right, I'll come back when he's more in the open so I can try and snatch him up and do my father thing. Now, Rodan struck me more as the mother figure, just because, I guess. Not to say that it was a woman, but I don't know. I just got that feeling that Rodan was like the female in the relationship because obviously there's a connection with all three of them. And they even said at one point in the movie that Baby Godzilla was like half and half, even though he looked fully like Godzilla. And so eventually, Baby Godzilla starts to cry again. Rodan wakes up, becomes Fire Rodan, heads into the city to find Baby, and eventually cuts off the helicopter. Takes the Now, first of all, that chick should have died. Okay, there's no way, Rodan lands on the ground with the shipping container at his feet, lands on the ground while on top of the shipping container and doesn't crush it, killing both of them. At least, if nothing else, the girl. But it's a movie, right? We can leave reality at the door. That's how it's supposed to work. So, does that. Mechagodzilla comes out, kicks the shit out of Rodan. I mean, Rodan's like lying on the floor and bleeding out of his chest and bleeding out of his mouth. Right at that point, Godzilla shows up again. Because why? Baby Godzilla's out in the open. It's a little bit easier to catch him this time. And Mechagodzilla proceeds to really, well, they kind of have a standoff. You know, they're like shooting beams at each other while the stadium's in between them. And they kind of like had a standoff. And then finally, when the beams explode, Godzilla seems to get the brunt of the force and falls to the ground, eventually making his way up, trudges through the stadium, and they start to duke it out. And finally, the Garuda, which I didn't mention at this point, but the Garuda, the battleship, so to speak, or the flying gunship, whatever you want to call it, which has been recommissioned. Basically, we have a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers moment where they form the Super Ultra Mega Super Godzilla, well, Super Mega Godzilla, really, and suddenly, Godzilla almost doesn't seem to stand a chance. I mean, it is kicking the ever-loving shit out of him. I mean, and this is why I said I don't know if I've seen this movie before because I just don't remember him getting his ass walloped like this, and he did. And this is the part of the movie I like because it was, I don't like to see Godzilla lose, but I don't like to see him win easily, and he did not win easily in this battle. He got one of his brains destroyed. He was paralyzed on the ground, basically taking punishment from Mechagodzilla. Finally, Rodan hears one last cry from Baby Godzilla, gets up, takes off, looks like she's about to leave the battlefield, catches beams to the chest from Mechagodzilla, falls onto the ground, onto Godzilla, and ultimately Godzilla absorbs Rodan's energy, and suddenly we see for the first time in this whole series, Godzilla shooting red radiation. And that shit was powerful because not only did he destroy Mechagodzilla, he made Mechagodzilla catch fire. He made a metal giant with some sort of diamond alloy shielding or plating catch fire and pulverize him. I mean, he must have shot him 10 or 12 times. He pulverized him. I mean, that was such a display of power. And when I saw that, I kept thinking to myself, damn, I wonder if we're going to see some sick shit like that in the new movie where he just maybe fights one of the Muto monsters and just pulverizes it with breath. You know what I mean? Just incredible display of power. So once that's done, he takes Baby and they ride off into the sunset. So some other things about the movie I didn't like. I didn't like the whole... Well, actually, let's go to the things I did like. I like the fact that they had an American character in there, even though she wasn't forefront, but the blonde pilot chick, every time they were in Mechagodzilla, they were talking English, and those guys spoke English pretty well. I mean, I understood every word they said because I was watching the movie in Japanese. And so that I thought was nice. That was cool. The thing I didn't like was I'm a big Mechagodzilla fan. I think after Ghidorah, that's probably one of my favorite villains. And I just didn't like the idea of him being remote control from the inside. I don't think it would bother me. I don't think it bothers me so much that he's controlled by humanity. I just think I like that traditional, there's really nothing in there. It's just a super intelligent robot that needs a little bit of direction, and he does the rest himself. So I kind of, but that's just me. That's my opinion. But overall, I was surprised. It was actually a very good movie. I love the monster designs. The suits were great. I thought Rodan looked fantastic. I love that ending sequence when Godzilla makes a huge comeback, thanks to Rodan's sacrifice, and just bombards Mechagodzilla. He rescues his son. He takes off into the sunset. And overall, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I was very surprised because when I read the description in the back, they make it sound like Rodan and Godzilla are going through some sort of divorce and fighting over a kid. But basically, it's this natural animal instinct to be like a mother figure. They both had some sort of connection to the egg because I guess they all shared something. So it was a fight to see who was the rightful parent or guardian, so to speak. And obviously Godzilla turned out to win that battle, even though Rodan seemed to almost yield that. So, but who knows? But anyway, so that's it for this one. Guys, we are heading into the end of the Heisei series. We have Space Godzilla coming next week. After that, we have Destroyer. Then we're going to take another break. And then we're going to finish up with the Millennium series. And that should lead us right into the very early beginnings of Godzilla 2014, where we will do Gojira 1954, which I will be doing on a Thursday night, the eve of the release of the movie. And then earlier in that week, I will be doing Godzilla Raids again. Very exciting times. Very exciting times. I can't believe this marathon, this March of the King marathon is almost over. It's incredible. All right, guys, take it easy. I will see you next video. Have a good one.